Someone in the crawl space. We were 10 minutes into the lockdown when we first heard the whispering. It wasn't coming from the hallway. It was coming from above us, in the ceiling, right over our heads. It happened at my old high school in northern Kentucky, a small rural place with maybe 400 students total and decades of weird rumors. Supposedly, the school was built over a demolished children's hospital. I never believed that. It just looked old and creaky like every other school in the area. It was a Wednesday, second period. I was in the band room with 8 other students and our teacher, Mr. Lange. We were supposed to be practicing for the spring recital, but we were mostly goofing off, tapping on drums, trying to play horror movie themes on the piano. That's when the intercom crackled to life. Attention students and staff, we are entering lockdown. This is not a drill. Please secure all doors immediately. The buzzer followed, that low, vibrating alarm that sounds like an industrial dryer going off. I remember everyone looking at each other, not really processing it. Then Mr. Lange stood up fast, pulled the door shut, and locked it. The band room was windowless and built near the back of the school, so it felt safe, but it was also a dead end. One way in, one way out. We turned off the lights and got low behind the row of timpani drums and old filing cabinets. Mr. Lange whispered for everyone to stay quiet. For the first few minutes, it was just stillness. Then came the footsteps. Not fast, not running, just slow, echoing steps from the hallway. Measured, they moved past our room and faded down the corridor. We all sat there frozen. One of the girls, I think her name was Michelle, was shaking hard, clutching her knees. The rest of us kept exchanging glances, wide-eyed, mouthing, "What's happening?" And then the whispering started. At first, I thought it was Michelle praying, but then it became clear the sound wasn't coming from anyone around us. It was above us. Mr. Lange glanced up and I followed his eyes. The ceiling tiles. There was a long, narrow crawl space that ran above the band room, part of the ventilation system. No one really thought about it, but now we could hear something moving up there. The soft sound of knees brushing insulation, elbows bumping beams, and then the whispering again. Not in English, not even in full sentences, just fragmented syllables, broken murmurs, repeated over and over again. Pa, pa, keh. Someone hissed, "Shut up," to no one in particular. The girl next to me was crying silently. I pressed myself deeper between a snare drum and a cabinet, trying not to breathe. Something shifted above us. The ceiling tile near the far corner, it bowed down slightly. It wasn't loud, but the pressure was enough to cause the tile to creak. A little bit of dust rained down, then a long, bony finger slipped through the crack between tiles. The entire room froze. The finger was pale, almost gray, and it curled downward like it was searching for something, feeling, reaching. The fingernail was cracked and long and yellowed like parchment. Mr. Lange slowly stood up, took a step toward it, maybe to scare it off or yell, but the tile popped open suddenly and the hand shot back up. Then silence again, except now one of the students was gone. Kyle, a sophomore who'd been crouched behind the marimba. "Where the hell is Kyle?" someone whispered, but none of us saw him leave. No door open, no sound. He was just gone. Mr. Lange moved toward the ceiling tile and grabbed a music stand, poking it up into the crawl space. He shouted, "If someone's up there, this is private property. Come down now." No response. He pulled the tile down completely and shined his phone flashlight inside. We all crowded near. The crawl space was small, like army crawl size. Dusty pink insulation lined the base, and we could see ductwork running along the spine. But no one was there. Just one thing, though. Lying right by the edge of the opening, directly above where Kyle had been sitting, his shoe. It looked like it had been yanked off violently. The laces were still tied. Mr. Lange cursed under his breath. He made us all sit against the far wall while he radioed the front office with the emergency walkie he kept in his desk. No one responded. He tried the classroom phone. Dead. Then the lights flickered. Just once. But that was enough. We all screamed when it happened, and that's when someone, I think Jason, finally snapped. He sprinted toward the exit and tried to pull the band room door open. It wouldn't budge. Even though Mr. Lange had locked it from the inside, now it felt like it was being held shut from the outside. Jason yanked and yanked, but it barely moved. And then the lights flickered again. This time they stayed off. We were plunged into pitch darkness. Someone let out a blood-curdling scream. I think it was Michelle. And then something up in the crawl space began crawling again, fast. It scraped and pounded along the beams above us, circling. Then we heard Kyle's voice. Guys, help me, I can't see. It was coming from the crawl space, from somewhere up above the ductwork, but it didn't sound right. It sounded flat, almost robotic, like someone had recorded it and was playing it through a speaker. Then it repeated. Guys, help me, I can't see. Same tone, same pauses. That's not him, I whispered. Then something slammed against the vent above us. Hard. The entire ceiling shook. We backed into the corner as Mr. Lange grabbed a cymbal stand and held it like a spear. His face had drained completely white. He didn't say a word, just listened. That's when we all heard the breathing, loud, rasping breaths coming from both ends of the crawl space. Then a voice whispered again, this time clearer, closer, almost like it was leaning into the opening above our heads. You're all still here. The sound of fingernails dragging across duct metal echoed overhead. We were beyond panic now. Some of the students were sobbing openly. Jason was punching the walls, trying to find a way out. Michelle had curled into a fetal position. Mr. Lange told us to all sit together and stay as quiet as possible. He said he was going to make a break for the hallway, try to reach the principal's office. He never came back. We heard him unlock the door, pull it open, and step outside. Then came a sickening thud, like someone falling or being dragged. And then, Mr. Lange? His voice called back in the exact same tone Kyle's had, but it wasn't him. It repeated again. Mr. Lange? Identical. Down to the breath. We turned the flashlight back toward the ceiling, and that's when we saw it. 2 hands gripping the edge of the crawl space opening. Pale, long, wrong, then a face, but not like any human face. It was stretched, thin, no eyebrows. Its mouth was locked open in a silent scream. The skin around its lips looked sewn back like it had been forced to smile. And its eyes, they were pitch black. It blinked or maybe twitched, and then it backed away fast, skittering like an insect deeper into the vents. We screamed. The door suddenly swung open behind us on its own. Bright light poured in. The hallway was normal again, and a voice from the front office shouted, "Lockdown over! Evacuate now!" We ran, every one of us. Didn't even stop to look. The hallway was full of confused students emerging from classrooms, talking, crying, but no one else had seen anything like what happened to us. Kyle was never found. Mr. Lange was discovered in the boiler room 2 hours later, curled in a ball, eyes wide open, muttering the same thing over and over. Don't look in the ceiling. Don't look in the ceiling. The school covered it all up, said Kyle ran away, but they sealed the crawl space. And last I heard, they welded it shut. Story 3. The last period. The lockdown started after the final bell. I was the only one still in the school. The announcement said to stay silent and lock all doors, but the voice on the intercom wasn't Principal Halley's, and it kept repeating the same sentence, even after the power went out. It was a Thursday. I stayed after school to make up for a skipped detention earlier in the week. Mrs. Kearns, the literature teacher, had agreed to stay behind while I served my time. She gave me a packet of short answer questions and left me in room 106 with the door open and the lights on. The school felt emptier than usual. Most of the faculty had gone home early due to upcoming snow. The hallways were dim and dead quiet, except for the occasional low groan of the air vents. By 4:12 p.m., I had finished half the packet. That's when the intercom clicked on. Attention, lockdown in effect. This is not a drill. All faculty and students must shelter in place. Repeat, lockdown in effect. I sat up straight, stunned. Mrs. Kearns must have heard it too, because within seconds she appeared in the doorway. "You hear that?" she asked, already pulling the door shut. "Get under the desk." There wasn't time to ask questions. She locked the door, drew the blinds, and turned off the lights. Then she crouched beside me behind the teacher's desk and whispered, "Don't speak unless I say." We waited. The first few minutes were silent. Then we heard a door slam somewhere down the hall. Not a bang, more like a forceful push followed by hurried footsteps. Mrs. Kearns tensed. Then came the buzzing, that sick mechanical sound that drones on during emergency drills. It rattled through the ceiling speakers, followed by a low click, then static, and then the voice. "All students, please remain quiet. You are being monitored." It wasn't our principal, not even close. The voice was male, lower, hoarse, like someone whispering with sand in their throat. The intercom crackled again. "Please remain quiet. You are being watched." I looked at Mrs. Kearns. Her face was pale. She mouthed, "Don't move." I started hearing footsteps in the hallway, pacing slowly back and forth, up and down the corridor outside room 106. Once or twice they stopped directly in front of our door. At one point, the doorknob twitched, just a single rattle. That's when we realized whoever was out there was trying rooms. Another slam echoed down the hallway, louder this time, followed by a series of short knocks, 3 on one door, then 2 on another, and then nothing. We stayed frozen for what felt like 30 minutes. At some point, Mrs. Kearns whispered that she was going to call the front office. She pulled out her cell phone. No service. I checked mine. No bars. She whispered that she was going to sneak into the hallway and look for a staff phone in the admin office just around the corner. I begged her not to. She promised she'd be back in under 2 minutes, unlocked the classroom door very slowly, slipped out, and shut it again without a sound. I never saw her again. I waited. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I tried to stay calm, breathing slowly beneath the desk, but the air felt thick. The silence was almost deafening. Then the intercom came back on. "You are not alone." The voice was sharper now, harsher, almost giddy. I crawled out from under the desk and pressed my ear against the door. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices. So I opened it. The hallway was pitch black except for the red glow of the exit sign at the far end. The overhead lights were off, and even the emergency ones flickered like dying stars. I stepped out slowly, hugging the lockers, scanning the corners. When I reached the admin office, the door was open, just a crack. I pushed it gently. The inside was dark and cold, the kind of cold that felt wrong, like being outside at night with wet skin. I whispered, "Mrs. Kearns?" No answer. I clicked on my phone flashlight and stepped in. Her purse was on the floor. Papers were scattered. One of the desk chairs was slowly spinning, like it had been pushed and left. Then I saw it. Her glasses, bent, cracked on one lens. There was a trail of something wet leading from the office carpet to the supply closet door. Not blood, just dark. I couldn't tell what it was. The closet was slightly open. I stepped closer. "Don't go in there." The voice was right behind me. I turned fast. No one was there. The hallway was empty again, except now the classroom doors were all wide open. I hadn't heard them open. I sprinted back toward room 106, but the door was shut again, locked. The little window in the door was fogged over from the inside. That's when the lights flickered back on. But not normal lighting. It was dim red, like the emergency generators had been rewired with theater bulbs. Everything was soaked in red glow. I looked up at the nearest speaker. It buzzed, then clicked. "Time's up. She left you." And then, laughing, short bursts, almost mocking. It echoed across every speaker in the hallway. I turned and ran toward the gym. The gym had a security door that was supposed to remain locked, but I figured if there was anywhere to hide, it was there. But when I pushed the double doors open, the ones with tiny square windows, I froze. Because someone was standing on the court. At first, I thought it was a mannequin, completely still, pale, dressed in a janitor's uniform, but off, like it had too many buttons. The head was tilted slightly. It didn't move. I took a step back. Then it twitched, just a small jolt. Then again. This time it turned, not the whole body, just the head, and looked straight at me. Its mouth was open, too wide. Then it whispered, even though it wasn't close. "Where are your eyes?" I slammed the door shut. I think I screamed, ran blindly toward the science wing. All the while, the intercom kept repeating the same phrase, "Where are your eyes? Where are your eyes?" Every time the voice repeated it, it sounded closer, louder, like it was following me from speaker to speaker. When I reached the science hallway, I ducked into the nurse's office. It was the only room with a bolt lock on the inside. I slammed it, turned it, and dropped to the floor behind the cot. That's when the lights shut off completely. Pitch black. Then I heard breathing inside the room, right near the supply cabinets. Slow and raspy, like someone dying. Then a click. The intercom inside the nurse's office crackled on. "You should not be here." I started sobbing. It whispered again. "She's gone. You're alone. Let me see you." Footsteps. Inside the room, I crawled under the cot, clutching my phone, trying to call 911. Still no signal. Then something leaned over the cot above me. I couldn't see it, but I saw its reflection in the chrome legs. No face, just stretched skin where the features should be, like it had been erased. Then it got down on all fours. The cot shifted above me, and then it whispered directly beneath, in a voice that didn't sound like a voice at all. She gave you to me. I passed out. When I woke up, it was morning, real morning. Sunlight was streaming through the office window. The cot was intact, no sign of anything. The school was completely silent. I unlocked the nurse's door and stepped into the hallway. Everything looked normal. Doors shut, lights normal, no red bulbs, no blood, nothing. I ran for the exit. There were 3 police cars in the lot. One of the officers saw me and shouted. They'd been searching for me since 5 p.m. the day before. They found no trace of Mrs. Kearns, no sign of the lockdown on record. No alert was ever issued from the school system. The cameras were blank from 4:15 to 6 a.m., just static. They asked me if I'd hurt her. I told them the truth. They didn't believe me, but I still hear the voice sometimes. Even now, sometimes at night when the house is silent, my phone will buzz just once. No message, just a whisper from the speaker. Where are your eyes?